I'm going to demonstrate today how to do an SD-WAN on Fortinet 6.0. It's going to be very basic, where ISP1 is going to be your primary internet connection, and using the ISP2 as the secondary connection that is not really being used. It's just going to be on standby, and whenever your ISP1 is going to be down, it's going to fail to your secondary ISP internet connection. If you're going to try following my steps that I'm going to describe in this video and you might fail, probably or more likely is because you must know before you build the SD-WAN. If you're not starting with a clean slate, and what I'm saying by that is if you're having policies or routes or site-to-site VPNs or SSL VPNs or any other things tied up to the existing WAN1 and WAN2 interfaces, you cannot build this setup. So you need to delete those first, and that might be hard if you're going to be doing this on a production firewall. So just to give you an example, right now my interfaces, they are being part of the SD-WAN, but you can see this reference number here that your WAN1 might have, again, existing routes, existing policies, something like local policy, SD-WAN. So you have to go here, delete everything that is being tied up again from your WAN1, WAN2, WAN3 connections, and after that you can build um, the firewall as I'm describing. So to accomplish this goal, we'll need on WAN1 to have an IP with a gateway on ISP1, and for our WAN2 we'll need a secondary IP with a gateway, and we need to set all this thing up on the firewall. Those IPs, as you can see, they're made up IPs because their firewall is sitting on my lab. They have nothing to do with real IPs, but the concept still applies. So again, we need to define on WAN1 the IP with the subnet mask. Same thing for WAN2. And as you can see, they do match my diagram. And here's where the magic is going to happen. On SD-WAN, so network SD-WAN, we choose the first interface as WAN1, second interface as WAN2. We set up the gateways right here. They're no longer going to be under static routes. So we have this SD-WAN with the gateway, gateway 1, gateway 2. Now Fortinet, it's allowing us to do an SLA, a service level agreement, and this probe that we're going to build is going to ping the same public IP, let's just say 8.8.8.8, Google DNS, through WAN1, and the same ping through WAN2, so it's going to logically see if any of those two ISPs they're going to fail down. And this is how things are being done. You're just going to build a name, put the server name, add the secondary one just in case that the first one fails, add WAN1 and WAN2, and that should do the trick. Now, in my personal experience, I will say that if you lower this number in case that, let's just say your ISP1 is going to go bounce, go down, go back up within like a second or two, you don't want to fail in between WAN1 and WAN2, WAN2 to WAN1, back and forth, because that is going to be annoying to your end user. So if you're going to raise those numbers, let's just say 5 seconds, and it's going to fail after 5 times, so it's going to be 5 times 5, 25. Let's just say that's like a nice number. You can increase that number if you ask me, in case that when one comes back after, I don't know, a few seconds of being down, you're not going to bounce very often. Also, this update static route needs to be enabled. As you can see, Fortinet describes that as disable static routes for inactive interfaces and restore routes on recovery. That's one of my points here of how you're going to restore WAN1, which is the one that we want to keep as primary. And you just hit OK. Now, how are you going to determine how the traffic is going to go through WAN1 or WAN2 after you set up the probe? You go to Network, SD-WAN rules, edit the SD-WAN. This is here by default. And I'm not going to go over the source IP session, spillover destination, source destination IP. I'm going to focus on volume, which that literally means if you put 100, it can be any number higher than, let's just say, the secondary WAN. In my case, 100 also represents 100%. What I'm telling this is the WAN role to do is like force all the traffic through WAN 1 and don't push any traffic through WAN 2. Now, can you put 25? Sure, you can. So you can split some of the traffic. You can still use the secondary one, but if you're going to be troubleshooting this type of setup, um, you might have a hard time finding out where your sessions they went, you know. So um, 100 here, 0 on WAN 2, that's going to force the traffic from going only on WAN 1. Now, since we established how this number here 100 is going to determine which WAN is going to go primary, and in case that is failing, the primary WAN is going to fail to the secondary one. We need to put a route. Static routes, create new, gateway of last resorts are all zeros, and we're not going to choose WAN 1 or WAN 2. Logically, we need to select this, the WAN, and we can put the name, default WAN, hit OK. So now we have default gateway, or both, where both WANs they participate in that SD-WAN connection that we just established with the probes and all the good stuff. With that in mind, you still have to consider when you build your policies that they're no longer going to go from LAN to WAN 1 or WAN 2. You need to have your policies from LAN to SD-WAN, and you're going to establish whatever policies you're going to have in place. Alright, thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next video.